Good morning, everybody. I have a cup of tea. How are we all doing today? It's been a few weeks since I got into the Monday swing. I think I'm trying to get back into the Monday morning little chit chat. So today I thought we would talk about intuition, and sometimes be overridden with your ego at times there. And sometimes tapping into your intuition can be a really hard thing to do. It took me forever. I remember, very young, there was aspects that I had where my intuition was there, but I didn't realise it was there. It was like a gut feeling, but I didn't really know what it was. But looking back, there were certain influences around me. I've got really bad hay fever today. You have to excuse me. I keep sniffing and snotting everywhere. There was influences around me, and I just remember like not feeling that would be the right thing to do, not feeling that would be the right people to spend some time with. I remember those kind of feelings, which now I know is intuition. But later on, when I was trying to really get into all of this vibe, I remember just my intuition was shot, absolutely shot. I mean, it was the 90s, so there was other aspects to it as well. But I had a lot of emotional things going on, and it was really, really difficult because at the beginning I was not really in a good emotional place. And definitely, I think my intuition got mixed up with that. I was with somebody, and I knew, and there was two things. I knew that I shouldn't be with that person, but my ego was like, but I want to prove the world wrong. I want this to work. But I knew deep down, and actually, I was 19, 20 then, maybe about 21 actually. And I remember pulling a tarot card. And that was one of the first times I started to get into the tarot. And it was the Eight of Cups. It was the first card I ever pulled for myself. It was the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is about moving on. And I instinctively, my intuition was straight there with like, get out, this ain't going to work. And I knew that, but I didn't want to hear it. So I put it back in the drawer as quick as I got it out and completely ignored it. And completely ignored it. Anyway, fast forward quite a few years, and I did walk away from it. And I'll always remember that first feeling of that instinct in your stomach, that gut feeling of like, oh, this is what I've got to be doing. And I remember a story my dad told me, and my dad is not so much now, but was a strong atheist. Through my stories I've told him and shared to him, he's slowly come around to thinking perhaps there's something in it. But he said to me when he was, and he's a Cancerian, so they're usually very sensitive and intuitive. He said to me when he was 15, they didn't have phones back in those days. And every single night after school, he played football over, there's a park that he crossed. And every night, without fail, he played football. And then this one particular night, after school, he just had this feeling to go straight home. And he couldn't put his finger on it, but he just knew he had to go straight home. And he went straight home, and his dad had died earlier on in the day. And it happened in the day, but obviously, like I said, they didn't have phones, so they couldn't contact the school. And there's been pockets of just feelings with him where although he doesn't believe in all this, he just has this belief of sometimes your feeling is really strong. And it, like I said, it took me a long, long time to really understand my intuition, or to believe and trust my intuition. And I really didn't that first time. And then I was always drawn into this spiritual side. There was things in my 20s, early 30s, there was things that were signing up. There was like astrology courses and tarot courses and development courses, and I was always like really keen to get into it. But then a night out would come and I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna go out instead, spend my money on that. And obviously that was meant to happen as well, but every time I went to sign up to something, somebody that I was going to do it with couldn't make it, so I couldn't do it, I wouldn't do it, or like I said, a night out would overtake it. And I just don't think it was the right time, but there was always a pull for me. Every single person I met, all the new people I met, there was always an interest in spiritual stuff. There was always that just connection. And when we talked, it was like something just came alive. And that would be from new people I met, a new partner I met randomly in a nightclub. Turned out his mum and dad were healers. Friends that I met, new people I met out, they were into it. So it's always been there. But my intuition was like, that's what I really like. But, you know, there was other things going on. Morning, Linda. Morning, Rachel. Morning, Kathy. Morning, Shani. Morning, Trudy. Morning, everybody. So there was other things that were taking me off it. But intuitively, if I'd have let that lead, then I probably would have been on the path a lot longer. But it took me a long time. And then when I was sat in the circle at the beginning, I got absolutely bugger all, nothing. I really didn't understand how it worked, couldn't meditate. When they were saying like visualize this, visualize that, I was like, am I visualizing it as a third person? Am I visualizing it as I'm doing it? Didn't have a clue how to meditate at all. It took me literally about 10 years to do it. And my intuition was just absolutely messed up between what my head wanted and what my heart wanted for many, many years. And then there was a situation. The first one, like I said, was with the guy pulling that 8 of Cups tarot card, my first ever tarot card. That pull in my stomach straight away. And then there was the next time. Now, this is really quite, there was a lot of ego going on. Morning, Shelley. Morning, Lauren. There is a lot of ego going around, including my own. So there was a connection of people, and I knew that they weren't great people. I knew that deep down, I knew that they weren't who they said they were, and I shouldn't really be there. And there was opportunities of discomfort and clashes that I should have got out. But I'm such a stubborn Taurus. I was like, no, I'm sticking. I'm going to make this work. I'm sticking. And that's my problem, or was my problem, with the ego of like, no, I'm going to make this work regardless to what I'm feeling. It's like, I need to have face value. I need to show the world that I'm all right, that this is okay, everything's fine. And there was 2 distinctive times that I should have got out of that, maybe 3 actually, distinctive times I should have got out of that group. I had to get out of jail free card, and I didn't use it, so I stayed. And although there was some good fun, you know, there was some good fun. Morning, Roz. There was some good fun. Linda says, I find that happens to me, and the people who are not spiritual avoid me. And Laurie says, typical, yes, you're a Taurus, typical stubborn. And that's it, isn't it? That is it. And although, yeah, there was pockets of good times in these groups, it was kind of like on a fake level as well. But my intuition was telling me, but I just wasn't listening because A, I was stubborn, and B, my ego was, well, this is working on some level for me. There was probably an element of like, if I came away, I'd be afraid that things might fall apart, really, rather than trusting 100%. And there was a lot of other people's egos in the mix as well, which wasn't great. But in that was, I saw a quote today which reminded me what to talk about. In that was a lot of healing as well. My marriage broke up and I met Cole. So there was a lot of deep healing going on within that. But I don't think that I was, well, I know that I wasn't being completely honest because I wasn't listening to my gut feeling. I wasn't listening to my intuition. So I wasn't being completely honest with myself in that moment, in those times. And the quote that I saw, which I wrote down, healing also means taking an honest look at the role you play in your own suffering. Morning, Pat. Morning, Eva. So that was like, yeah, that's right. I literally probably suffered longer than what I should have done there, longer than what I should have done in the relationships, because I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't taking an honest look at myself. So I loved that quote. Healing also means taking an honest look at the role you play in your own suffering. You know, part of the principles in spiritualism is personal responsibility, and it takes us a little while to learn that. And that's one of the, personal responsibility is such a big thing for me. And I think once I started to understand personal responsibility, I really started to do the healing and started to understand my intuition a lot more, follow my intuition and use those get out of jail card frees. And that absolutely healed my suffering. I wasn't putting myself in those positions anymore. One more thing came up. When I got out of that situation, I was like, yeah, I know, I should have listened. Ross says, just having a select few friends, yes, declutter of friends after my marriage breakup, finding the right friends on your energy. Yeah, absolutely. Morning, Laura. And when I came away from that, I was like, I knew I should have listened to my intuition. However, like I said, there were some good times, and maybe I wasn't meant to completely leave, although I think the universe definitely had other plans. Like at the beginning, when there was all these spiritual opportunities for me, classes and courses, and I just didn't listen, I didn't go to it. I was too busy having fun. And you know how I got into this, some of you already know my story. How I got into this was such by chance, going to a toddler group that I wasn't even meant to go to, didn't want to go to, and then going to the toddler group on behalf of another friend, trying to help another friend out. So the universe definitely did some divine intervention then. Met somebody who, in a nutshell, I ended up doing readings with, and that's how I got onto this pathway. So I think definitely throughout my 20s, the universe was trying to pull me on this path, and I was pulling myself off. Despite listening to my intuition, I was too busy having fun, and I was having a lot of fun. So I was like, no, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that. This gut feeling, I'll just kind of push back a bit. Right to the point of, I think I was about 19, and I got offered a job. I did massage then. I got offered a job in quite a big company, well-known health company, to be their masseur. And every now and again, you know, when I do my life review, I'll have a little look at that sliding door experience. Every now and again, I think, if I'd have gone down that road earlier on, because I ended up going down that road 10 years later, if I'd have gone down that road at 19, 20, yes, I would have missed out on a hell of a lot of fun in my 20s, and I don't want to miss that. But it would have led me into the holistic world. It would have led me into all of this. So there was two paths. There's like a fork. Definitely two paths there. The windy one that was going to be a lot more fun, but probably a lot more emotional. And then the simpler one, which was just going to take me straight there, direct, and probably be a lot calmer. However, I also believe we have our lessons to learn, and destiny, you know, I was meant to do all this. That's my intuitive vibe. I was meant to be exactly where I am now. Pull away from the people that intuitively I should have done years ago. However, I do believe that we take these pathways because we've got these lessons, and no matter what road I would have picked, I would have still had to have learned those lessons, but I would have learned them in a different way. I wouldn't have necessarily learned them on the same way that I did of that. That's your free will. So your destiny is what you've got to learn. Your free will is how you do it. In a nutshell, that for me, that's how it works. Morning, Emma. Morning, Tracy. Morning, Sarah. Morning, Hayley. So my free will led me along a little merry-go-round. But I learnt the lessons. So I often wonder, like, if I'd have took this masseur job in a nice straight company and stayed on the straight and narrow, I definitely would have got into all the holistic things from that, for sure, which would have led, I'm sure, into this one way or another. So it's interesting, but my intuition all the way through was pulling me into this. And like I said, with the friendship groups that I had over the years, once I came away from certain people, those groups, intuitively, I was like, I knew I should have done that years ago. I knew I should have done. And there was things going on, and I remember pulling the cards, and then like the cards were like, it's not the right time for this, it's not the right time for that. But your ego is like, wow, I want it to be the right time. I want it to be now. So you kind of override. You don't listen to yourself, and you don't have an honest approach, because you override that intuition with your ego because you want this or you want that. So sometimes just having a quiet 5 minutes and being super honest with yourself, and looking at the role that you play in that suffering, in that drama, in that in the challenges that you're having, looking at the role that you play, acknowledging the role that you play in that, taking that personal responsibility, and having an honest chat with yourself where you can feel your intuition, and not your head, not your ego, not what you want necessarily to be painting the picture of, but what's good for your soul. When you can feel that, that's where the healing takes place. Absolutely. And when I moved away from this, one of the last sets, and I was like, God, I should have listened. I should have listened. However, like I said, there were still good times around that. Moving into the next sector of it and getting the shop, there was still warning signs there. But I was happy, I was having fun, and I didn't want things to change. So my intuition was saying like, red flag, alert. But my head was like, I hate change anyway. My head was like, but I don't want to upset things. I don't want to change things. I'm just going to keep battling on. And therefore, I'm playing a significant role in my suffering because I don't want to listen to my intuition, and I don't want to change things because I've got a fear of change. But every single time there's been a change, something better, touch wood, without a doubt, something better has produced from that. So I don't know why maybe it's just a Taurus thing, but I should really embrace change because it's never ever failed me. So I need to have a bit of a word myself perhaps on that. But the intuition that I now listen to is a lot stronger, a lot quicker. There is no suffering because I'm listening to my intuition quicker. I'm acting on it quicker, and it might annoy me, it might piss me off that I can't do what I want to do because my head is like, do this, do that, but I know like, well, this is the right thing to do, this feels right. So regardless to what my head says, this feels right. So it's really important to really tap into your own intuition and separate your head, separate your ego, separate what you want to be done as opposed to what you know should be done. We all know what's right, what's wrong, what's good for us, what's not good for us. But we're all usually led by the opposite. But once you get to lead by your intuition and really be led by your intuition, Cole is probably my biggest teacher in that. I've never met anyone that is so annoyingly led by their intuition. His intuition is so spot on. It's frustrating from being on the other side when you're like, come on. And then he's like, no, something's saying no. But I've learned a lot from that because it works out. And sometimes you just don't know. You can't put it into words. You can't put it, it's not tangible. It's just that feeling. I don't know why that don't feel right. Or I don't know why I shouldn't do this. Or I don't know why I'm going to say no to that because I really want that, but I'm going to say no to it because it just doesn't feel right. It's annoying that it doesn't feel right. And I can't tell you why it doesn't feel right, but I need to say no. It doesn't matter. Figure it out later. Figure out the whys, the hows, the whatevers later. Understanding the feeling. And honest to God, once you start to really listen to that intuition, when start to feel your honesty and what role you do play in that, things snap back quicker. Things work out so much quicker. It's easier. The life flows better. You become more peaceful, more harmonious. The drama stops. I don't know, it's just easier. The other quote that I saw, which flagged up for me this week was, or the other week, was when you learn the lesson will stop showing up. And to me, that really went hand in hand with that quote. Healing also means taking an honest look at your role you may play in your own suffering. So when you learn the lessons will stop showing up. And these repeated things right from that guy at the beginning, when I knew my intuition was telling me to get out, but I didn't. Right from then, blocking my intuition right up until recently, where I've not listened to it, the lessons of either, I don't know, complications of one thing or another has repeated until I finally learned to listen to my intuition. That was definitely one of my lessons, 100%, was to listen to my intuition. Everyone's going to have different lessons there, and you'll have to figure out that for yourself, really, unless you want to book a session and we can do it together, but you have to figure it out yourself. Really, but learning the lesson absolutely helps in moving forward in healing, and it will stop that lesson keep showing up. Since I've learned that lesson, I've not had that situation come back around me at all, and it's been a little while now. There are pockets when I can feel, something's uncomfortable, and red flag, there's a red flag. That's how I'll probably do it in my head. A little red flag pops up, and that's my intuition for sure. and then I just don't go down that. I don't feed it. Oh, bloody hay fever. I don't feed it anymore. I don't give it any attention. I step away a little bit, and I address it in my mind. I like think, okay, what's all that about? If I can figure it out. If not, I'm not worried about it because it will sort itself out. But absolutely, that lesson has stopped showing up. One of my lessons was always to, I felt like I always had to be there for people. I felt like I always had to help people figure out their stuff, never mind my own. I felt like it was my role to help them sort their shit out, really. Or my role, especially on a material level, it was like I didn't value my own things enough. I valued their stuff. I wanted to help them at a cost to me, basically. And that was a big deal. That was a big learning curve. And intuitively, again, knowing that I needed to pull back on that, but wanting to help them so much at a cost to myself. So when that little red flag pops up every now and again of I could easily go down that road again, it's like literally a red flag of a warning, like, ooh, be careful what you say, be careful how you act, because you could repeat that lesson. And I nip it in the bud straight away. Think about my own values, think about what cost would it be to me, and thinking about what is it? Am I really helping them? Is it just part of my ego that's going to be stroked by helping them? Or is it really going to be helping them? Do they need to figure it out for themselves? So I kind of reanalyze everything there. But ultimately listening to my intuition. Even last week I felt I needed to go to Hampshire and join an event. And here I go. So July the 30th, I'd be there. I felt I needed to go. Yeah, sometimes you just get that pull. Sometimes you just get that pull to do something. But I think it's really important to understand and to work with the difference between your head and your intuition, your ego and your intuition, and learning the difference of what you think is you want to what you need. Basically, it's your wants and your needs, isn't it? It's that different vibe there. And I've had lots of things over the years where intuitively where things have been like showing up, and you're like, that's going to lead to something. There's something in that, and you might have to just trust the process a little bit. Because if you force things, and that can be another like little red flag or an orange flag, not quite red. Timing is the key to everything. But the two quotes that I really wanted to leave you with before we pull a little card for today's session is: healing also means taking an honest look at the role you play in your own suffering. Think about it. And when you learn the lesson will stop showing up. So ask yourself what repeated lessons keep happening. When you keep saying to yourself, not again, why has this happened again? You're allowing it. You're allowing it. You're not listening. You're not listening to your intuition. You're not listening to the bigger picture. You're letting yourself get involved. You're letting perhaps other people get involved. We need to take a step back. We need to breathe. So much shit going on in the world. We need to take a step back. We need to breathe and think about what lessons is it. There's always lessons. I don't think we're going to, until we're ready to pop off, I don't think we stop learning. So once one thing stops showing up, you might find something else starts to show up. So you may not be like completely lesson debt free, but you will be able to nip things in the bud quicker, you will learn things quicker, and that speeds up your soul's growth. Your poor soul, our poor souls are up there probably thinking like, right, we've given them a mission of 20 things they've got to learn. That's going to be easy. And we'll probably get halfway through our life and we're only on lesson number 5, and our source up there is probably going, come on guys, we've still got another 15 lessons to learn and you're halfway through your life, quicken it up. And it's common knowledge that as we get older we care less, and therefore our ego gets less in the way and we learn things quicker. Things don't matter as much, and that's part of it, obviously lessons as well. So as soon as we can start to trust our intuition, and if children can do it, younger people can do it, they'll learn it a lot quicker and will evolve a lot quicker and be more harmonious a lot earlier and peaceful a lot more earlier. Once we can learn that lesson, we will move into another lesson, but it will be a slightly easier lesson because we would have already learned how to address something. We would have learned that learning the lesson helps us to move forward. It stops it showing up. So the next one comes along, it's quicker. And then the next one comes along, it's even quicker. And then when they do come in, it works a lot easier. We can recognize that lesson, we learn how to work with it, and it just becomes smoother, which gives us more peace and more harmony. So I think upstairs will probably be like with us at times. Linda, everything you're saying about what has happened to you, and it's like you're telling my story. I think there's probably a lot of people in there, probably a lot of people, especially in the teens, excuse me, especially in the teens, hay fever, when we're not taught about our intuition, are we? We're not taught to follow our feelings, or not everybody anyway, I'm generalising, not everybody. So I think a lot of people will probably have those long lessons that go on, and situations that just keep repeating themselves in different ways. Different people will show up to show you perhaps a different side to it. And then once we finally get to that point where the penny drops and we start to really listen to our intuition. I've always known about the intuition because of my dad's story with his dad. You know, like I said earlier, that feeling that he had. I've always known that there is something. I always know, but I couldn't pinpoint my intuition for a long time. And I remember someone saying to me, like, well, just trust your gut feeling. And I was about 19, 20 then. And I remember, like, I don't even know what my gut feeling is. Literally, if I think I'm going to go left, I better go right. It's that bad. It's that chaotic. In all fairness, my direction sense is terrible. Anyway, so I probably wouldn't listen to my gut feeling then. But it's that's not important stuff for me. It's other things that you just know. And there's jobs, there's been opportunities, there's things that I wanted to do, there's still things that I want to do, but deep down I probably know it's not my pathway. I probably know it's not going to happen, and I could spend time and energy forcing it. I could literally make it happen, because I make a lot of things happen. I'm good at that, but it might not last, or I might not be fulfilled, or it might cost me the earth to get it done. So it's not really gonna work in the long run, although I might make it happen because it's not there on my plan. I've just forced that. My ego's got in the way, or I've just wanted it so desperately I've made it happen. It probably wasn't meant to happen. So my lesson will be like, listen to your intuition, because there's plenty of times when I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but the feeling is like, nah, not now. And I remember, again, I did get led by my intuition with this guy doing some spiritual work. He's passed now, and when I was in the energy of him and then the group, I was like, yeah, I'm really, really going to sign up to that. I'm really interested. I'm going to do the course that you're putting on. I didn't really like him, so it was weird that when I was in his energy, it was almost like I was under his spell. And then as soon as I would leave the building and I would be on my way home, that energy would lift. I'd be like, oh, I can't be bothered, don't want to do it. Or the dates didn't work and I never followed it through. And that's happened quite a few times where I've been in with people and all been like, yeah, and then come away and been like, I'm not sure actually. So I've listened to my intuition on that level and not pursued things, and then very glad that I didn't pursue. Lots of things I'm glad I didn't pursue. But there have been many things that I did force because I just wanted it to happen. My ego led over my intuition. And if I'd ever listened to my intuition a lot earlier, probably would have saved a few quid, but also a lot of time, a lot of wasted time in doing this and doing that, just because I wanted to be doing it there. So there's a fine line in, I think, our ego and what we want to be seen to be doing and what intuitively we should be doing. And that can be for jobs, for homes, for relationships. That could go in absolutely any any field there. I do see a lot of, obviously a lot of people with the readings, but I do see a lot of ungrounded people, woo-woo people, very, I mean, I'm woo-woo, but these are way woo-woo. They're not grounded. And they literally will be like, oh, spirit will create this for me. Spirit will do that. Spirit will lead me here. And it's just like, oh, that don't work either. Why aren't you listening to your intuition? Why are you waiting on spirit? Why are you like relying on that? You've got your own spirit within you that's much more powerful. You're going to miss a lot of opportunities. You're going to go down a lot of wrong roads, and you're not going to be emotionally fulfilled. You're not going to be satisfied because you're always going to be reliant on someone or something else to guide you or to help you. Or have that chat another day about people that do that. But if they just pulled their energy back and, like I said, was honest with themselves in the role that they play, in the good things that happen, but also perhaps in some of that suffering, yeah, I'd probably be out of a job, to be fair, if everyone listened completely to their intuition. But that's okay. I'll come up with something else. But I think it's really important. So today's mantra is listen to your intuition. If you know you're on to doing something that actually really deep down, you just know it's not going to really work out, or it's not floating your boat as much as you might want it to. Blocks come in the way, opportunities pass, things just keep happening. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. I absolutely believe that if we're meant to be on something, it won't pass us by. It will come back round again. I've had proof of that with definitely the spiritual things. For sure. I've had tests, for sure. So I know that if something is meant to happen, it will not pass us by. But I also know that we can spend a lot of time flogging a dead horse. And that's important because we're here for such a short time. Don't really want to waste our energy on people and situations. So have a little chat with yourselves, go within and find your inner intuition to lead you to the right pathway. Okay, let's have a little look. Eva, it always starts that one thing comes and then suddenly the puzzle is all done. Yeah, sometimes it's just that light bulb moment. Okay, let's have a little guidance. Monday morning guidance message. Thank you for everyone for joining in. Shut the front door. It's only, oh my God, the High Priestess. Fucking hell. The High Priestess is literally all about listening to your intuition. Is that not magic? Oh my God. The High Priestess literally is like go within, secrets within you. I got all the hearts coming up now. So everyone else that's watching is like, oh my God, on the same vibe. Yeah, Linda, I'm all snotty. Actually, it's hay fever. It's the high. What can I say? I'm like flabbergasted, but not. The High Priestess literally says, "Listen to your intuition. You know what's going on. You might be seeking some spiritual counsel. I can't even speak because I'm so shocked that this card just pulled out. It is about balance. So it is about earthly and spiritual, getting that balance, like we said." I'm not being too woo-woo, but ultimately it's like you know the answer inside. You might go and seek some guidance. You might go and seek some inspiration from somebody, or have a reading, or go to, I don't know, anywhere, a mentor, anyone, and get some of their advice. And that usually comes up when this card comes in, getting advice. However, the key is that you've got the answer deep within you. It's written there. It's in your soul. It's in your book. Everything spiritual, everything that we've been talking about literally on this little chat is wrapped up in the High Priestess. I'm so excited that card has come up. You cannot make it up there. Friggin' love that. And I'm just like blown away by it. I can't even talk about all the symbolism. So we have the moon's energy in here. So we have intuition with the moons. We have the pomegranates. So this is talking about fertile energy. But there's also seductive and mystery that comes in with the High Priestess. Mysteries, your own mysteries there. Seeking spiritual guidance. It is ruled by the planet of the moon. So things are not always what they seem on the outside. Like I said, head, ego, intuition, opposites, balance, yin yang. So literally things aren't what they seem. Nothing else needs to be said. Follow your intuition, listen to what feels right, take this guidance on board. And your message really for today is acknowledge the role that you play in your joy and in your suffering, and learn those lessons using your intuition so that you can move on to the next lesson, so that you can evolve and find that ultimate, what we're here for is peace and happiness. The lessons are meant to take us there. That's what we're here for. Free will fucks things up a little bit, to be fair. It does. So try and like pull it back a little bit to trust. That's what this card is. Thank you everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back next Monday for another tea tarot chit chat.